Welcome to Joe's Happy Hour, a show about markets and life hosted by Joe Fahmy. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be regarded as personalized investment advice or relied upon for any investment decisions. Joe Fahmy is an employee of Zor Capital, and he and his clients may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. All opinions expressed by Joe are solely his own and do not reflect the opinions of Zor Capital. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on this program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Tom Canfield.
Fahmy.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be in Vegas, baby.
It's great to see you live.
Thanks.
You are my first repeat guest.
Fuck off.
And
how cool is that?
And hopefully one of many episodes we will be doing together.
I hope so.
I always enjoy our conversations. I know the audience loves you. I don't know if they love me, but they love you.
Thank you. That's sweet.
Also, I got to say, this is the first time I have no notes. So every time I do a podcast, I have a sheet in front of me with like 10 to 15 bullet points.
Yeah.
Sometimes the sign of a good podcast is when you're like 45 minutes into it and you haven't even got to one or two. And the sign of a bad podcast is when I went through 12 of them one time and I looked at the time and we're 10 minutes into it.
So if we get to 10 minutes and we just start staring at each other, we know we probably underprepared.
Exactly.
But this is freelance at its
But this
best.
time there's no bullet points. It's just you and I.
We're just shooting the shit, brother.
Firing away. I will start by saying you did a podcast with me about a month ago.
Yeah.
Well received. The comments and the emails I got, people appreciated your humility, your openness. You made yourself vulnerable. Kind. You told I said, hey, you can tell as little or as much as you want. And you told a very personal story.
It was hard. I mean, it's hard to talk about, but I think it was actually part cathartic for me too.
A little therapeutic for you, maybe?
I would say it was.
People love you anyways, but they really, really loved what you had to say.
Well, that's nice. I learned through just all the Twitter stuff and the spaces and the other podcasts that I've done that it just, and I mentioned this last time, I don't think it serves anybody for me to try and candy coat my life, my experience or whatever. It's really healthy for me to like own my shit, whatever it is, trading, life or otherwise. And maybe, hopefully, it sets somebody else free to be able to do that, because I know that the experiences that I have in life are not in a vacuum.
No.
At all.
No.
We all have our shit. I got my shit. You got your shit. Everybody's got their shit. And it's like, the more we can and we can tie this into trading in a big way, because the more we are honest about who we are, and the more we own and take full responsibility for our lives, the happier we're going to be and the closer we're going to be to executing the kinds of lives that we really want to live. So,
right. But you said the key word there, or the key phrase, when we're honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Self-awareness, in my view, is 90% of it. A lot of people don't want to face that reality or be self-aware or are self-aware, or really just ignore, hey, I got issues, I got problems, I have to deal with this, and they just don't want to face it and be honest.
They put their head in the sand. And it's like, we all have these windows, and I went through decades where I was like in survival mode. I got 4 kids. It's like head down, just get through the day. They all got to go different places, and Weezy and I are trying to figure all that out, and we didn't have the time with each other and all of that. And it's like, but the more you can take moments away from your craziness to take stock in your life and say, where am I? How am I doing? What do I feel? Like, we lose touch with our feelings because they just sort of get in the way of just getting through the day. My life kind of became, I wake up and it's like, I just look forward to putting my head back on the pillow at night. And it's like, whatever it takes to get through the day. And that's not living.
That's not a fun existence.
No. And it's and I'm sure there's parents out there who have young kids that are like nodding going, I get that, and we had 4. And we had 4 really close together. It was like bam, 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 bam. I mean, let's see, my oldest is now 30 and my youngest is 24. So we had 4 in 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And
you're only 42, which is amazing.
41.
41. Forever 41.
Yeah, forever 41. That's right.
It's pretty amazing.
So it's, and I was laughing thinking about it because I said to you, I'm like, but trading is life because you can't separate the two. If you're a trader, there's no way you're getting away from your life like weaving into you sitting at that desk. And it's like, I'm going back through Ted Lasso for the second time. And, Danny Rojas, football is life, or whatever it is that he says. And, I mean, great character.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, dude, trading is life.
There's no vocation, but one of that makes you really get in touch with yourself more than trading. That teaches you more about life and yourself than trading, in my opinion.
100%.
And my audience, our audience is mostly traders, financial and everything. But after that podcast, all the comments was on relationships. All of them were on, thank you for having him on. Thank you for giving him a voice because I'm dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a divorce, a separation, a challenging relationship, or challenging with my significant other, with my kids, with parents, whatever it is. Because relationships whether it is with a significant other or with your kids, your parents, grandparents, whatever it is, close friends, they're not easy. They're not easy. And especially the main one is with your significant other. And the number of people who said thank you because they're like, shit, that really hit home.
Yeah. And it's
for a lot of people.
It's hard to talk about because nobody wants to talk about struggles they're having in their relationships or struggles that they're having in their life or whatever because we want to present the most perfect picture we possibly can.
The Facebook life.
Hell yes.
The Facebook life. It's just like, we're all on the beach and everything's amazing and that's the impression we want to give.
I found myself like I struggled and I wouldn't admit it to myself. I mean, talk about not being honest with yourself. It's like I had certain areas of my life that I was like, no, I can be honest about this part of my life. But this part over here, I'm just going to act like everything's okay.
Do you just ignore it?
Yeah.
Head in the sand, like you said?
Kind of the head in the sand and all of a sudden you become like, I was talking to I'm here because my middle boy, Willie, lives in Vegas. And so I'm here to see you.
Yeah.
And I'm also here to spend some time with him. And I was talking to him today, and it's like, you default to becoming sort of accommodative because it works in relationship. But it's like, at what cost? Like, because you're losing yourself. And you're scared to have that conversation, or you're scared to have that moment where you've got to express where you're coming from and what your needs are because it's going to create a conflict and stuff. And it's like, I would challenge everybody to be brave about having those conversations because I didn't. And I made choices to suppress. And in the end, it doesn't serve you because you lose sight of yourself. And then life starts coming out sideways. When you find yourself in that position, you suddenly start to feel like you're trapped because you've conditioned everybody around you, be it your family, your spouse, your friends, or whatever. You get them used to a certain level of who you are, and you're like, okay, but I don't want to keep being this. Fuck. What do I do? And it's so... And we're going to go down a bunch of different rabbit holes.
No, of course.
And
there's someone watching right now like, can we get some tickers, please?
Right. I want to see some charts. What are your top 5 stock ideas for next week?
I know. This is more important. This is more important shit.
It is more important. But trading has everything to do with this shit because you bring this to the table. And that stress and that dissatisfaction with yourself, I started to I don't want to say hate myself, but it's like you're just in conflict because you're like, what is true happiness? What does that look like? Are you satisfied? Is your life aligning with your beliefs? It's a huge deal. What are your beliefs? What are your beliefs and what are your values? Number one, what are they? And guess what? They change. As life goes along, they change. And you have to learn to change with it and be open and honest with all the people in your life about that so that your life can always be congruent with your beliefs and your values. Because when you're not in congruency, you do some stupid shit and you make horrible trades and because it invaded my trading, everything. And I want to, at some point I'm going to do my PSA announcement about, men need therapy bad.
Yeah.
And what's funny is so many men come across, they're like, I don't want to do therapy. Therapy's soft. I don't need that. And it's like, now I'm happy to look in the camera. The guys that don't want to do therapy, they're the pussies.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but
no, it's okay. You've sworn, you can say pussy. It's okay.
Okay. The men who don't want to do therapy are the ones that are really the pussies because they're hurting themselves and they're hurting the people around them by not taking the time to investigate their lives and understand why they do the shit that they do, and is there a better way, and is there a higher version of yourself that you can kind of push towards with the help of somebody else that's objective, that can look at you honestly, that can root out your bullshit.
But as men, we have egos. We have to be alpha males. We have to be in control and everything's fine and appear to be strong.
Do we?
And I always say, well, that's because the society's like, we have to be the tough and the blah, blah, blah. But it's okay to have emotions.
Yeah.
It's just not okay to let those emotions control you. You have to be able to control you in a bad way. Like you said, trading to make bad decisions and so forth. Because it's okay to have emotions, because if you don't, you're a sociopath if you don't. But it's okay to have those emotions, but to say, okay, I go through phases, I go through funks, maybe I'm sad, but don't let those emotions control you, and quickly, recover from that,
or at
and
least
harness
respect
that.
how they do control you. Because, and I'll bring Denise Schull, who's a good friend of mine.
She's awesome.
She's phenomenal.
Love her. She's awesome.
And she was the first person I ever came across that said, no, your emotions are part of you. It's this trade without emotion thing is just absolute horseshit. Because I used to struggle with the fact that I'm like, well, I'm a trader and I've got a lot of emotions and I can't put them in a box. They're part of me. And, and I used to talk about the village of idiots and all these things. It's like, you got to put those fuckers out on the table and line them up and say, I see you. And get to know them and understand how they operate on you. And then start making decisions from the framework of the fact that they exist and that they're real and that they work on you. So that when you do a debrief of how you traded or something and you're like, well, there's support and the stock comes down to support and I buy support and then it drops below support and that support has to work. Why? No, it doesn't. But it does today. For me, today, that fucking support has to work. Because I need that trade to validate me and tell me I'm okay because I'm not okay over here. And anybody that doesn't,
that's deep.
If anybody doesn't think they do that shit, you do. I do. And so there I am, 30 years of experience, and I'm buying support and it drops below support. And I'm like, no, that support is real. It has to hold. Why? Because I drew that line. That's my line. So I'm buying more. Keeps going against me. Fuck, where's the next support?
Yeah.
Go down. Oh, it's down here. Okay, I'll wait for it to come down there. Now you're like, 3x past your daily stop or whatever.
If the 20-day doesn't work, use the 50-day. If that doesn't work, use the 100, use the 150, use the 200, use the 900-day if you want.
And all those
you
people that talk
like
about how stupid that is, that you do that, how about we just start from the premise that we do that? we justify and rationalize, and we don't want to take that stop because that day we need that trade to work for whatever reason. And it doesn't have a damn thing to do with what's going on in the market. It has to do with what's going on in your life.
Right.
You know? So accept that that's part of your makeup. Accept that that's part of who you are sometimes. Because if you try to deny that that exists, that trade is going to keep biting your ass time and time and time again. But if you own that you were that way and that you have a tendency to bring a shitty mood in, and you can all of a sudden, once you start talking about it, you start feeling that that need while you're trading. And it allows you to say, okay, I can feel that I'm not making decisions based on what's going on the screen. I'm making decisions based on what's going on the inside of me. And that's when you start, but that requires you to be in touch with your emotions. It requires you to be honest with your emotions. And it's sometimes I can use my emotions in my favor to leverage into trades by recognizing what's working on me. And so it's just, I mean, there's so much, and it's such a soft area to describe. That's why working with a therapist, working with a trading coach, stuff like that is really good. Just make sure you're working with one that understands that emotions are real, they're valid, they control you, they always will control you, and now with that information, let's go trade. As opposed to, here's my emotional makeup, I'm going to take it off and I'm going to put it over here and I'm going to sit here like a fucking robot and execute these trades. All right, well.
The market doesn't care.
Yeah, the market does not care.
Market hates all of us. And
the market, I used to call it the Grim Reaper because it's like the Reaper knows
the
when
market
you're off,
doesn't
when you're,
care if
when
you
you're
have
on
bills
tilt.
to pay and kids to put through school and food to put on the table, or I got to pay this mortgage or whatever. The market doesn't care. And if you don't respect it, it'll chew you up and spit you out and make you cry in the corner because it really, like you said, this has to work, or this doesn't make sense because of this economic blah, blah, blah. My PhD told me this macro thing means the market. The market doesn't care about any of that shit.
No. Nor does it give a flying fuck about you.
Right.
Nope. It wants your money.
Yeah.
It wants your money. And, you know, sometimes I tell people, they're like, well, how do you, I'm like, I need you to stop thinking like a day trader. Stop thinking like Joe Blow that's got a $50,000 account or a $100,000 account or a $10,000 account or whatever you are. Step back and go, and I've mentioned this before, but it's been a while. Like, put yourself in the shoes. Here's everything you know about the market. You have $5 million. No, excuse me, $5 billion that you're controlling. And you want to fuck over as many people as you possibly can. How would you do it? How would you do it in terms of how you would move the market around? Because you can now. You have $5 billion. With $5 billion, I can move NVIDIA. I can move Apple if I want to. Because not only do I have $5 billion, I've got the leverage that the firm gives me. Right. So, I mean, I probably have 5x, 10x.
You could really move small
anything you want,
too,
however you want. Okay, how would you do it? Start having those conversations with yourself. And then all of a sudden, the nature of the way the market moves might start making a little bit more sense to you. Because guess what? They all know you drew that fucking line. And they're going to take it right down to that line. And they're going to bounce it. Maybe they're going to take it down just a little before the line and bounce it just to piss you off.
Or just stop you out at the low of the day and turn around.
And then turn around.
And you're sitting there staring at a position you don't even own and you're just fuming and wanting to like throw monitors everywhere and whatever else you want to do. Yeah.
And let me guess, you're arguing with the screen. You're arguing with it. You're yelling
at
it.
Or my favorite, and I'm guilty of this too, you're obsessing and staring at a position you're not even in when you have all this other stuff going on because that one got you. Right.
One of the greatest mental blocks that I was able to overcome early in my career that has helped me tremendously is like I was a breakout swing trader for the longest time. And you know, in the can slim
world, blueprint, whatever you want to call it.
You know, and O'Neill's got these charts all over the place of stocks that go up, you know, 300, 600, 800% over a year and a half, or whatever it is, and all that. And, you know, Webby will get on here and he'll talk to you about it. And Mike's a great friend and is a genius in what he understands about the market. Has way more patience than I do.
Yeah.
Way higher tolerance for taking trades and having them not work and whatever. I need, for my own sense of being, I need a lot of winners. I need a lot of winners because winners give me confidence, and I trade much more aggressively when I am confident. Because if you trade scared, you're dead. So it's like I trade in a way that feeds my confidence, even if it's not the optimal way to trade. Well, guess what? There is no optimal way to trade. No. There's an optimal way for me to trade, for you to trade. But a given optimal way, not necessarily the truth. So it's like I started to notice that, like, most stocks that break out, they would run 8, 10, 12% in a matter of 1 to 3, 4 days.
Okay.
Give or take. And half of those would go on to maybe get up in the 15 to 20% range. What percent go on to 50%, 100% without coming back and retesting the pivot?
Very few.
Very few. Can you do the math and argue that, but if you stay in those and ride those big ones, that it ends up paying for all those little, you know, paper cuts? Probably so. But I didn't have the wherewithal to manage, hey, I got 10 grand in this trade, and then it comes all the way back down. I'm paying bills with this stuff. And so it's like, I quickly realized that 8 to 12% that was fairly reliable when the market's healthy with good stocks that are breaking out on increasing volume, yada, yada, yada. I need that. I need that 8 to 12 and then take my money and recycle it into another stock. And I was at peace, but that stock went on, you know, you bought NVIDIA at 30 and you sold it at 37 and it went to 60 in 3 weeks. Yes, it did. But somehow I recognized that I got what I wanted, though. I got my piece. And God bless the guys that stayed in it. And I'm happy for them. And once I'm done with it, I'm done with it. And so it's kind of like I would trade an explosion. I would make money. I would let it consolidate. If it did, I would get in it again for a second ride. And then I'm done for 6 weeks with it. Because I needed at least a 3 to 6 week base to then get back in it again. And if I never got it and it just kept shooting, it went away from me, I didn't care. And the fact that I got to a point where I recognized that I needed regular positive reinforcement of taking profits to stay aggressive was huge for me. Absolutely game-changing for me. To start letting go of the dream of the $30 stock that's going to 100.
Because that worked for
my makeup,
personality,
right,
your temperament, your psychology, your everything. And that leads me to one of my pet peeves is that people ask these questions thinking there's a right and a wrong answer in trading.
Yeah.
Whether it's how many positions should I own, position size, should I hold over earnings, should I do this, should I do, like, all of these questions are legitimate and great questions. It's just challenging for me because they think there is a right answer. They think me or you have the right answer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's black, there's white, and there's a shitload of gray.
Everything's gray.
The majority of it's
everything's gray.
So stop thinking me, you, or whoever with blogger, or whoever's on TV, or whoever thinks, stop thinking that there is a right answer and that anyone even has the right answer. So what you're getting at is you developed a style that worked for your makeup, your temperament, your personality. And a lot of people have trouble understanding that they have to figure out a way, as the phrase goes, that works for you.
Right. And like I started recognizing that in consolidation with these given stocks, we'll just use NVIDIA because that's a stock that I trade a lot nowadays.
Never heard of it.
Because I'm not a swing trader anymore. I actually am just I am the laziest day trader you've ever seen in your life. Wake up. Sometimes I wake up and I make my...
Sometimes you wake up? I hope you wake up.
Sometimes I
hope you wake
up.
up every day.
But anyway, I don't trade more than about an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, then I'm done, whatever it is.
And you've said that, and people, not to interrupt, people are like, okay, what are you doing there in that hour and a half? I want to know what you're doing. And I'm like, first of all, that might not work for you if you're working full time. And I, again, with respect, it is so hard to describe some of the nuances.
And part of it is sitting in the chair for 25 to 30 years and staring at the screens and seeing the behavior and the personality of these stocks and whatever. And that's why, like, I enjoy limiting my focus now, and I enjoy being in cash at the end of every single day so that you don't have to worry about anything. I don't know what Trump's going to tweet. I don't know what world power is going to change. It just doesn't matter anymore. It's just, okay, what's happened? What's going on? Where are we now? What are the levels that I'm interested in? Like, and every day is different, but that's what's so damn fun about it for me now is like, okay, let's take today, for example. Fridays, when the market is healthy, and whether people realize it or not right now, the market's kind of starting to get healthy. I know everybody thinks it's going lower. I know Goldman Sachs came out and said there's lower prices ahead, maybe, but maybe not. The market is saying, no, we kind of like what's going on because it shot up it started to shoot and then it gapped. I don't even remember what all the news was. Oh, the tariff shit. And it's not fading. It's just kind of grinding right now. It's like when we're in that sort of a mood where there's a bit of a bid under the market, Fridays have a certain kind of personality. They're sort of boring days. I make most of my money in really boring days. The gap and run days, I suck at. All that stuff. It's like because most of the range is out. But it's like you learn the personality, and I love buying support in strong stocks. Now, how do I define support? Well, there's a service. It's like I have my way of finding where I think support is and then just kind of leaning into those zones, so to speak. But like Fridays tend to kind of open a little bit up and then spook, scare you, sell off to a certain degree because they want to shake out the strikes because and this has become more of a phenomenon as a result of all the weekly options and whatever, because they got a lot of strikes they got to bounce stuff around to.
There's a lot of and European closes and stuff.
All that.
There's
so
you
get that moment of weakness that comes down, and then it finds it, and then it just keeps finding its way to grind up all day long.
In the healthy markets,
in a healthy,
low volatility kind of grind,
and that's Fridays are kind of pattern that way, and they run it under one strike and then they kind of grind it up to the next strike sort of thing. It's like, okay, you see it over and over and over again, and so you just kind of start on Fridays, you just sort of set yourself up for that trade, which is what I did this morning.
Recognizing what type of market we're in is a huge factor too, because
you got to know your environment.
You said a healthy. So if this is 2022 and we're in a bear market and we're below the 50-day, below the 200-day, it's a different animal. That's the old Paul Tudor Jones, you adapt, evolve, or die. I always say the key word in that phrase is adapt. You can't just do the same thing every single day.
No, you can't.
You're going to have a good environment, a shitty environment. You're going to gap up huge. You're going to gap down huge. You got to be able to bring different gloves to the ballpark, so to speak.
Mondays have a certain personality, and Fridays have a certain personality.
The week of options expiration does. The
Very
regular
much
cycle,
a different
the week
personality.
after, end of the quarter, beginning of the month, seasonality. Are we in the summer that sucks? Are we in November, December that are good? There's a lot of variables if you're a trader.
Yeah, there are.
And that's why I always say there is no right or wrong answer. No.
Because what's right today is wrong tomorrow. And it's like you have to but part of that's just, you got to trust your intuition, and your intuition gets developed by doing it. You just got to fucking do it and get your ass handed to you.
To build that instincts,
to build
intuition.
Those instincts in. It's just like, and I'm wrong all the time. But you got to let that be okay. You got to get to where that's okay, because being right, needing to be right is a really expensive drive. Super expensive drive. It's just the market's random. I mean, at the end of the day, the market is in the big picture, it's not random, but in the short run, and all of us traders, we're trading, I'm day trading now, trading a couple hours a day. Swing trading's got us, but it's all like you're building it based on probabilities with a shit ton of randomness into it. So you got to leave room for that stuff.
Yeah.
You got to leave room for the fact that the market is going to fuck you. That's the job you took.
But I
Deal with it.
I don't want to hear that. I want to make money every day. I want to sit back in my rocking chair and I want to make money every day. I don't like that.
Yeah, well,
I'm
right.
being a sarcastic douchebag because that's what a lot of people say. And I get that. I was the same way when I started. Like, what do you mean the market goes? Like, you have to accept what Peter Lynch say. There's 30 or something bull markets, 30 or 40 bear markets. Like, they're the cycles of the markets.
Right.
So we're not always going to be going up. We're not always going to be going down.
And traders have to be super adaptive because traders aren't investors. These
big difference. Big
huge
difference.
fucking difference. And these guys that are trading, that are speaking and investing language, you just look at them and go, I just want to go, I love you, but you're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're trying to rationalize price movement based on some sort of fundamentals that have absolutely nothing to do with how that stock's going to move between 8:30 and noon today.
No. The balance sheet's not going to make a difference.
No, it's
in the first hour of the day.
There are orders that have to be executed on both sides of that stock for a host of reasons that have nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of that company. It's just, 401k.
Supply
whatever.
and demand.
It's just this massive supply and demand thing. And the sooner people recognize that trading and investing are not even remotely the same beast, the better off that they are. I'm a terrible investor. I don't invest. I don't, I leave that for other people. I can trade, but I cannot invest.
I think I've said this before, that 80% of trading is psychology, 20% mechanics, meaning you can have the greatest system and the greatest strategy and this and that, but if your head's not right, you're screwed.
Yeah.
An example is, I've given this example again before, 2017 was one of those rare X equals Y straight up, one of those rare years where the S&P did not correct more than 3%.
Pure grind.
Yeah. And average intra-year declines about 14.5%. It was similar to 95 was the only other year before that, 2017 and 95, where the S&P did not correct. It was just straight up. Or if the camera's looking at me this way. Anyway, I have a friend, and the S&P finished up 20-something% that year.
I don't mean to laugh, but like the fact that you remember all that shit, like I can't, like even today, and that's just the way that I am. I don't remember one year from the next.
I don't remember what I had for dinner last night. I remember the most random specifics.
You remember golf holes, though. Really interesting.
We have very unique, what's it called? Selective or reticular memories.
And I remember certain really cool goals that like the Blues scored, like sometimes
we have very
against Boston. I remember certain ones that were really special.
I have no idea what you're talking
about.
Anyways, 2017, no more than a 3%. Literally, that's the year you could sit back in your rocking chair. Very little volatility. The S&P's up over 20%. I had a friend down 30, 40% that year. He was going through a brutal divorce, and his head was not straight.
Yeah.
He was MFing the markets. He's like, I hate this. I'm shorting. And he was angry. And I'm like, take time off. Your head's not right. And that's what I mean by, that's an example of, you don't even need to have a strategy. It was pretty much the wind at your back.
Right.
And his head was not right. And he not only didn't make money, he lost a lot of money. And my question to you is,
because he's fighting it.
Yeah. When you're in that funk, when you're struggling, how do you fix that psychology? And is something like confidence, is another related question, is something like confidence, can you teach that so that I guess we'll tackle the first one first. When you're in a rut, when you're in a struggling moment or stretch of trading, how do you get yourself back so that you're mentally stronger to deal with the ups and downs and emotions of trading?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to step back for a second and go, okay, why am I struggling? What keeps happening? what is it that's called? Am I fighting a trend? Because that's the classic struggle moment, is that your ego gets attached to a belief that is in direct opposition to the trend. So I'm gonna come around in a circle because there's some other points that I want to make. Like, there's no
please,
such.
Go ahead.
This is some of the like major value things that I carried with me that helped me not fight trends. Because trends up and trends down are extremely powerful. And chop is chop. But there's always, in chop you can always find good stocks that are trending. So there's no such thing as being overbought in an uptrend. It's a myth. Your indicators are lying to you. Okay? Throw your fucking stochastics out the window.
I don't even
your
know
RSI, whatever it is.
I don't even know how to spell.
I know, but people fall in love.
I don't even know how to spell RSI.
People. I have to endure this kind of humor, people.
You made fun of my Bruins subtly. I picked up on that.
Did you?
Earlier.
No. What?
That's why I said I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. That's a Stanley Cup thing we have, anyways.
Anyhow, like. An uptrend is an uptrend. There's no such thing as overbought in an uptrend. So if you are using these fun little indicators like RSI, stochastics, MACD, blah, 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 whatever your flavor of the day is, that looks on the chart like it fucking nails everything.
Yeah.
Go look and see how those, when a stock or the market is in a strong uptrend, tell me how well those overbought indicators work.
Or in a strong downtrend.
But here's the thing that does work. Oversold in an uptrend is a valid indicator, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, like, you can use half the indicator. Just don't use all of it. You know, and that's stuff you learn through years and years and stuff. And I don't use any of those indicators anymore because they're super unreliable. And I just look at price action, and I use support and resistance based on price because it's not a manufactured.
Really quick, I don't use the indicators either, and I want to make 2 points. I'm not against them because I always say people get offended by the dumbest shit. Do what works for you.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, if price and volume leads to those indicators, I'm just a fan of going to the original source.
Right.
But if you want to use them, go right ahead.
God bless you. And I'm the same way.
I don't care. But go ahead.
Well, I literally don't care what anybody else does.
Right.
And I cannot believe the number of people that used to get in arguments with me because they wanted me to understand that the way that they did shit is better. And like, it might be.
But you don't,
for you,
but you don't
care.
Give a fuck. You don't care.
Like, I'm all in. I don't care that you think that my way is good. I'm just showing you what it is.
Life would be so much easier if no one imposed their stupid beliefs on anyone else. Oh. Not just politics and religion, trading philosophies. My sports team is better than yours. My burger joint. You want to go to Five Guys? I'm going in and out. I don't care.
Right.
But no, mine is better. You have to do it.
Better.
My system is better for trading. You have to do it this way.
And so I'll have some, 23-year-old, kid who's been trading for, 7 months, who's got this system because he's turned, $1,500 into $6,000. So he's got it.
Yeah.
And I need to understand that.
Oh, you have to.
And he's trying to engage me in conversation.
Look,
and
Boomer, this is the way to do it, Boomer.
And I'm like, bro, I'm super happy for you. Do not give a fuck. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
And nor do I care if you like what I do. I'm paying my mortgage every month. It's working for me. And that's all that I care about. Because trading is so personal. It's so unique to you. You trade way different than I do. We can agree on a lot of things about the nature of how the market kind of works. But you take trades and I'm like, what the fuck is he looking at? Like, and you would probably do the same thing to me. And it's
and nothing bothers me.
No. And I'm
and not just because we're friends, because even if an enemy told me that, I don't care.
So maybe this can help some people have some perspective, because it's like there is no one way to trade. There is 1,000 ways to trade, and you have to find what's right for you. And like I originally learned from a guy by the name of Pat Walker, who's on Twitter, and he's a great dude, and he taught me so much.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I took everything that he taught me and stepped away from him and tweaked it to fit what made sense to me within that framework that I actually started becoming successful, because it was mine. So there's something about the ownership, in my opinion, of how you trade that is unique to you, that creates confidence, that creates that power. Because
Wow.
if I'm trading your way and something doesn't work, I'm like 5 times as pissed at myself than if I take a trade completely in my own sphere and it doesn't work.
But a lot of people don't want to take that responsibility, don't want to make those decisions, don't want to own up to it, don't want to put in the work.
Okay.
I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying a lot.
Within that structure, and I'll just be blunt, if you're a trader and that's true about you, you're dead.
Thank you.
You're fucking dead as a trader.
Because if you're always relying on someone else for ideas and entries and exits and how to trade, what happens if that person gets hit by a bus?
But
I mean, I don't take the bus, so I tell people,
you're also structuring it in a way so that you've got a scapegoat.
Right.
And as long as as a trader you have a scapegoat, you will not be successful.
Right. My point is, if you're relying on fill in the blank, a person, a service, alerts or whatever, and you take away that whatever, that alert or that person or that service, to your point, then what? You're dead. You're dead.
Yeah. Can they guide you? Can they be idea generators? Can they educate you in certain areas and enlighten you and cause you to walk down other paths of thought that can enlighten your own way to trade? Absolutely. And they're invaluable for that in a lot of ways.
Correct.
But the moment you start moving or shifting responsibility for every last fucking button you push to something somebody else said, in my opinion, you're dead as a trader.
So you took a blueprint that somebody taught you and shaped it to fit your style and your personality.
And my personality.
And that's what's led to the confidence.
Yes. I started building my own success, and it was mine. And so there was like, this is mine. This is who I am. I am expressing myself as a trader on the market. I'm not expressing Mike Webster's. I'm not expressing Pat Walker's. I'm not expressing yours. I'm expressing me. This is how I approach the market. This is how I see the market, and I am just engaging it. It's me in relationship with the market, and there's nothing else out there. And I can work with that. But if I start leaning on to somebody else's idea or leaning on to somebody else's method, maybe because I'm struggling for a little while and I need a quick hit. I need a
little crutch.
Yeah. It's just, it's a slippery slope, and it's a nasty road, and it's really hard. You're making it really hard for yourself. But it's what everybody wants to do, because good God, who wants to take responsibility for dog shit trades?
No.
Who wants to own that?
Not me. It was that person gave me that trade. It's their fault.
Like when I talked about several years ago, when I talked about that XIV trade where I lost $500,000 in an hour.
Ugh, I remember you told me, yeah.
Because of the market. The market. Those guys did that bad thing, and they cornered the market, and they ran the futures, and they blew up the XIV and all that. All true. Guess who took the trade, though, Joe? Me. Guess who over-position sized in that trade because I had other things going on in my life that were hurting, causing me to hurt, and I was asking the market to make me feel better. And I oversized a trade that I was highly convicted on. Me. I did it. I made those decisions. I let that shit in my life affect how big of a position I took. I literally took a position size that was like 3 to 4 times bigger than what.
I don't think people realize how deep what you said was, but go ahead. I'm absorbing it myself.
It's like, sure, that was a crazy event in the market, and there were all kinds of, like, I was getting letters and emails about, do I want to join the class action lawsuit and whatever, and I just sat there and I said, no. I made that trade. I got to own that shit. I got to own why I got into that stuff. Why was I taking that trade with the size that I was taking it? Why did I, Well, it was because of this and this. I had, one of my kids had a really bad injury, and he was, got knocked out of hockey for a while and whatever, and my heart was broken, and, it was just, and it was like, and I needed something to make me feel better.
You're hurting and you need the market to provide.
I was hurting and I needed the market to make me feel better. And the moment you come to the market with a need, it is going to bend you over so hard.
No lube.
No lube. What do they say? No lube, sandpaper finish.
Oh, that might be a clip we're going to use later.
Perhaps. But anyway, it's like I'm a broken record on some of that stuff because I've repeated it several times. And it's like, but part of it is just me reminding me as a trader.
There's a lot of people who either have never heard this or need to hear it again.
Yeah.
There's that line, repetition's the mother of skill. How do we know song lyrics? We've heard them over and over and over. There's a song we were just playing on the way over here. Maybe you haven't heard it in a while, and we both knew the lyrics. Like
every single word. That would be Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC.
And Webby would be proud. We were listening to AC/DC. But the point is, song lyrics of a song you might not have heard for 20 years because you've heard it so many times. So even what you're saying, I mean, maybe I'm being selfish, but I'm sure the audience agrees too, but it's needed to be heard either from new people or if they've already heard it, you kind of need that because with the market cycles, you need repetition of certain rules on uptrends. And then when it corrects, you need to you need different rules on the downtrend.
Why isn't this working? Well, how's the environment? That was always, know your environment. Like that's the first question you should be asking if things aren't working. Well, is the environment changed? It appears the environment has changed. We're dealing with a lot of distribution. All of a sudden, things aren't, there's been a shift. So you have to shift with it. So it's like, but like going back to that other point real quick.
Please, yeah.
Like there's so much power in taking 5 minutes before you sit down at that desk and like taking stock of, okay, where am I? What's working on me? Maybe you journal it. I don't know. Like how do I feel today? What is upset? What are the major things that are upsetting me in my life away from trading? Even if you just write them down or you speak them out loud to your dog, you're releasing the power of those emotions working on you by just taking a moment to identify them. And it's such a simple thing, and it takes like 3 minutes. And you're like, if you have an argument with your wife, or you screamed and yelled at your kids or whatever because they did this or they did that, and all of a sudden you're just like you're carrying all these different emotions. I used to care funny story, embarrassingly funny story.
We can edit it out later if you want to tell it.
Like we used to go to Sunday night dinner over at my parents' house. And my brother's family would come over, and we'd bring our family over, and my dad, I love my dad to death, but man, did he know how to like trigger me. Like, and that was back when I didn't even know what a trigger was. Now I'm like all therapied up and I understand triggers really well. But like he would so trigger me with comments, and so would my brother. And so I would walk out of there like just with like the hair on the back of my neck standing up. This was every Sunday night. I would have been better off just writing a $5,000 check to my favorite charity every Monday and not trading than to actually sitting at that desk, because I couldn't shake it. It took me all Monday and getting my ass handed to me on Monday, trying to like make myself feel better because they made me feel better, whatever it was.
Right.
But there was something about those Sunday night dinners that would just set me off.
And that mindset carried over
So many times.
Clearly did not help coming into the day with a shitty mindset.
No, and it didn't at all. And
was dinner good at least? You don't even care. You don't even remember.
I don't remember. I just remember I would get triggered, and families trigger us.
Oh yeah,
the people we love the most, the people closest to us, man, they can trigger you.
Not necessarily intentionally.
No.
They love us, but they don't realize some of the subconscious
right, and
things.
It took me, I'm 59 now, and it took me till I was about 57 before I was able to realize, you know what, my mom and dad just love the living shit out of me, and they're doing the very best that they can, and they're working with where they're at, trying to love me, and why do I keep getting so irritated? Just... and then I look at how I am with my kids, and it's like, I love the living daylights out of my kids. But my God, I'm sure I trigger the hell out of them all the time.
Again, not intentional.
No, it's not intentional.
Of course,
and so
it's
the
not.
more we can realize that people are always trying to be their very best selves. It's just, if they're horrible, that's where they're at right now. And so there's a grace and a love and a forgiveness and a room that we need to give each other, especially in families, so that, I'm not sure what the right term is, but it's like, so that we're not like always grinding our gears about those people that we love. Because man, I see so many families that do this. And they let the people closest to them drive them batshit crazy, because they want them to conform to some mold that they have of what they need. I need you, Dad. I need you to be like this. My dad doesn't give a fuck. I mean, in his own way, he's like, well, I love you, son. I love you like this. And why can't you just accept the love that I give you? Because you're not loving me the way I want to be loved. So pay attention to me. Give me what I want. We're like little petulant children.
Of course.
And it's like, stop. Like, step back. Recognize that everybody is trying to do their best, even if their best is horrific. It's still their best at the time. And give them grace. Because the more grace that you can give, the more it will return to you. And when you're living that kind of life, you can sit down at the trading table with a little bit better foundation.
The opposite of that mindset that you described, where you're approaching it with a more, not just positive, it's a cliche word, but just a stronger mindset.
Yeah.
Where I find you make way better decisions.
100%.
And you also treat people better, because I'm guilty of it too. And that's what, going back to the feedback from the last podcast we did, a lot of people were saying it's hard to separate the emotions of the trading day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just had a really bad day, and it's just like, oh, honey and the kids, I love you, everything's great. And you're like hurting and really just not doing well on the inside. It's really hard to separate those two.
Super hard. And that's where I was talking about last time. Go move your body. You got to release that energy somehow.
I was going to add, that was where I was going to close with, but go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
That was because that was one of my favorite. There was a lot of great parts of the last podcast, but when you talked about that, move your body.
It's so healing.
Your health is great, and thank God.
Yep, my health is good.
Looking good. And talk a little bit about that importance of the health, the fitness, the working out, all of that stuff. Not just in life, and not just in trading, but in life in general.
But in life, I mean, it's at the end of the day, our health is so important. All our dreams and hopes and everything that we want to accomplish and all that we want to do, we can't do it without our health. All the love we want to give to the people that are around us, we can't do without our health. Like there's so much. And so what we have to do is we have to, and it's not selfish. I used to think it was selfish. We got to take care of ourselves first so that we can love in a more effective way. Because but stronger health, stronger fitness, gives us more capacity. It also gives us more confidence. It gives us confidence in relationships. It gives us confidence in how we walk around. It gives us confidence in everything we do. It bleeds into everything. There's a trickle-down effect. And so it also does all kinds of amazing things in terms of how it releases hormones and whatever, but it also releases, like, we hold emotions in our body. And if we have shitty trading days and we're holding that stress and it just sits there, and maybe you can do it for a day or 2 or 3 or a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but at some point in time, your body is going to reject that stress. But if we're exercising every single day and being active, you don't have to go like crank weights in the gym for, 2 hours or whatever and grunt. And I mean, sometimes it's just a good 30-minute walk. For me, I love running. And I don't have to go very far sometimes. I mean, like today, I ran 2.5 miles. That's all I had. That's it. I was pooped. But like you expel that tension that sits in your body. And all of a sudden, it makes you want to make better eating decisions. And it makes you want to be nicer. And it makes you want to be grateful. And all these other things, all these things that we hear about, I have found start to kind of fall into place if I do the one thing, and that's move my body. If I move my body, all the other things that seem like they're super overwhelming, because like if you're in the growth mindset and whatever, you can get overwhelmed with all the different things that we have to do. If we can just do the one thing and do it faithfully, you'll start to see that you start doing all those other things because your confidence builds, your mindset changes, the depressive modes that you fall into stop happening. Your outlook on life is better. Your desire, your drive, all those things just start to fill in if you just fucking take care of your body. It's so
what's amazing is even you just talking about it, notice the difference in everything. Your posture, your tone, your positivity, just even thinking and talking about it it's almost like your creativity continues, like this becomes better, and things I'm not even thinking about. It's just from just talking about it.
And it was a dark when my wife and I separated. I guess it's been almost 2.5 years now. I mean, that was a dark era for me. For a while. And I started walking. I just walked and walked and walked and walked. And then I started running a little bit and whatever. But I did it every single day. I said, I'm just going to do this one thing. And it saved my life. I couldn't do anything else. But I could do that. It's the one thing I felt like I had control over. I can move my body. And I can't remember who it was that might have been Ed Milet, like a podcast of it, because I love his stuff.
He's great.
He's phenomenal. I can't remember if it was him or not, but it was one of those guys, just in one of my dark moments where I was just trying to get somebody to tell me I was okay, that I was going to be okay. And that struck me. I'm like, you know what? I can do that. I can take control of moving my body. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be every day.
Yeah.
And out of that has grown wherever I'm at now, and I'm pretty active, and I'm, but it saved me in so many different ways. And as a trader, you build an enormous amount of stress onto your body. You got to release it. Don't release it on your wife. Don't release it on your girlfriend. Don't release it on your kids. Don't release it on your dog. Go exercise. Let it release naturally, and then come back to the table. You'll be a much better human being.
Yeah, it's amazing. We talked about Tony Robbins says people pay him 7 figures to coach them.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm going to tell you for free the first thing I tell anyone I coach, get your ass in shape. David Goggins, who, inspires so many of us and is always, he's like, I'm not doing the physical part to get in shape. I'm doing it for the mental.
Right.
I'm doing it so when life is going to throw shit at me that's unexpected, out of our control, I can deal with it better because the physical toughness
is there.
Translates to the mental toughness.
Right.
Yeah. It's great stuff, my friend.
It's a good time.
I feel like we could talk for hours.
Like there's so many other topics we could go into.
You said so many things that if I did have a notepad in front of me, I would have been writing follow-up questions and stuff. And there's like so many things that I could easily follow up with. But we're going to have many more conversations.
We're going to do this again.
We're going to, I enjoyed our market rant, and this is sort of a mini version of that. That was so much fun.
I miss those, man. I was on edge a few times there. But I think for you and I, this is kind of cathartic also. Like, just we get to talk about shit that, like, we've recognized and we realize, and it's good and it's healthy for us to talk about it and for us to admit
Absolutely.
that we have these struggles. 100%. I have massive struggles in my life.
Same here.
I'm still trying to find, what it means to actually consistently be happy on a day in and day out basis. What is that? How do I achieve that? I'm still searching for it, as I'm transitioning into a different kind of life for myself. And, but I love the quest. It's exciting. I love the adventure of it all. And I mean, if we can resonate with some people out there,
I was going to say,
and so that they don't feel so alone, because sometimes we guys, especially, we love to like just hide inside our feelings and bury our shit. Like, no, everything's okay. And it's like, man, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And it's okay that you're not okay. So,
and guess what? We're all going to be okay.
And we're all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle too. And people none of us want to talk about these things, but I agree. Our conversations, I think, not to be too selfish, help me as well.
Yeah.
But if one person out there is listening and that helps them,
all worth it.
And like the last one you did, it was more than one. A lot of people, it resonated with them. It's all worth it because we're all in this together. We're all going to struggle, but just got to keep. The hardest thing is, get knocked down 7, get up 8. What happens when you get knocked down 7,000 times? You don't want to get up that 7,001, but life's going to throw stuff at you.
But what's your option? What's your option?
You got to get up.
You got to get up, man. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I mean, it's 2.5 years ago, I didn't think I was going to be okay. I did not know how my life was. It was dark. But
what's the percentage of bad days you've survived?
It's 100%.
It's 100% because you're still here.
And here I am.
And you're smiling and you got great energy.
I cried every single day for maybe a year. A year. Grown man. Bawled my eyes out in agony. But 2.5 years later, I still have all kinds of struggles that I have with it and whatever, but I'm okay. And things are okay. And I'm going to be okay as I carve out this new life. And, there's all kinds of stuff. But
I know.
But trading has remained consistent through it all. And I'm very thankful for it. And I don't say that lightly. I'm incredibly thankful for the foundation that it gives me as I start to map out this new life. So,
yeah.
And there's still tons of lessons that I'm learning, and maybe we can get into specifics more later and talk more
I
actually
would love that.
Hard tacks of trading and, how I find some, we can draw it up on some charts or something. I don't know. I don't care. But this shit's fun, and I love hanging out with you. It's
thank
it's a
you
blast.
for I literally I can't thank you enough for your friendship. I can't thank you enough for your humility, for opening up, for being a mentor to me as well.
That's nice.
I learn a lot from our conversations and just sitting back and listening. And sometimes I wish I had a photographic or whatever, like recording memory to jot down, because it's a lot of wisdom you're dropping.
Do you think we can rewatch this?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with the closing words. Go ahead with anything you want to.
I knew you were going to say that. And we've talked about so many things.
Or even like something, I don't know. Anything you tell
life is good.
You tell yourself 20
it's-
years ago that you wish you knew, anything like that. Lessons.
Well,
you've dropped so much wisdom, but I'll leave it up to you.
I think that the end line is that life is good. We get one shot at this life. We get one shot at it. And it's got all kinds of struggles that we're going to face, every single one of us. But at the end of the day, life is good, and it's worth living, and it's worth fighting for, and it's worth loving, and loving is worthwhile, and life is worthwhile. And so, God, that's cheesy, but it's
great.
It's what's like I'm so grateful. I am so freaking grateful for, for the chance to talk to you, for the chance to get to see my kid, for, the fact that I can live in this country and I can wake up and make a living, working 2 hours a day, doing what I do now. I mean, I'm lucky. And I get to, meet new people, and I get to ski all the time, which is so amazing. So anyway, it's just, life is good. It's not easy. And sometimes it's lonely, but it's good. And so never give up, folks. Never give up on the fact that life is good, even when you're going through dark, ugly, painful times. It's going to get better. I promise. All right, that's all I got.
Thank you, my friend.
You bet.
I appreciate you.
I love it. Appreciate you too.